right? JDeveloper kind of. Yeah.
Okay, JDeveloper. So this is this screen actually is. So this is the left side. You can see something called as Package Explorer, right, where all your Mule projects will be listed out. And you see a white space here, I mean a blank space here. So this is basically a canvas which shows a graphical representation of your Mule flow. I will show you now itself. And on the very right end, you can see a Mule palette and API sync. So Mule palette actually it will show all the message processors, all the message connectors, everything it will list out here. And down you can see like Eclipse, you can see all this logger, problems tab, console tabs and everything. And you should understand this this perspective here. Here now my mouse point is your design perspective, which you will use while creating your application. Once you start testing it from this environment, I told you that this AnyPoint Studio contains a Mule Enterprise Edition server, embedded server, right? So you can run your applications. While you start your testing, you most probably you will switch into a Mule debug mode. So this is another perspective of viewing everything. So that's it. So let's start a Mule project. This is, so it'll take some time to, okay. So, okay. So you see this Mule. It says that Mule runtime environment. How it got 3.8.3? Because it is using this inbuilt Mule server. Here you can see Maven settings, right? So yeah, when it goes to organization level, you will use this Maven settings. You will have a very specific hierarchy to mention your projects, Mule projects, because you may have most probably 99% you will generate a Mule build not from a single Mule project. You will generate it from multiple projects, right? From say 15, 20, 50 number of Mule projects. You will make use of it and you generate one single build out of it. So in that case, you will use Maven. You will specifically you will specify in Maven what's the hierarchy of the projects and how it will be organized. So in our case, for time being, we don't require Maven. And version control, like if you want to maintain a specific, if you want to maintain this project in a Git repository like GitHub, you have to mention what all the changes it has to be ignored, like automatic changes ignored. So these all changes it has to ignored that will mention under a .git ignore file. So like that. So this is an API kit. This is a component available from with Mule. For timing, we don't require these two. Actually, these three. So next, you will see what's the JRE environment. So these all things you can easily understand, right? This you will be using 1.8. It's mandatory. And project layout create separate folders for sources and class files. That's it. I'm not mentioning any working sets. Time being. So this is just defining how it looks like, project looks like, directory structure. So I click finish. Yeah, you see in this. So in the package explorer, your project is king, right?
Yeah.
In your middle, in the canvas, you something has came with a. So if you see this, this is basically canvas. What it is showing, it is having 3 tabs. It is showing message flow, global elements, and configuration XML. So even though this shows a graphical interface, down the line, this actually will be XML specification of which are all the connectors or which are all the message processors used in that particular mule flow. Okay, and one thing I forgot to mention, when a mule application, how a mule application is created internally. So it makes use of a Spring framework for its running. So this is a this is XML configuration which you specify using this graphical view. And then you will get a XML. Once you pack it, once you make the build, what Mule will make use of it, this particular XML to configure it Spring components. That's internal details for the sake of understanding I'm saying. So that it will make use of Spring framework for its running for that particular Mule build for it will make use of Spring framework. And if you see, if you click at the message flow tab, you will get a Mule in this Mule palette. You're seeing a lot of connectors, right? So this is just a connectors. So below that you will get something. This is a connectors are a type of message processors. Similarly, you will get scopes. This is another set of message processors, and there is something called as components. This is the one more set components of. Similarly, you can see transformers, filters, flow control, and error handling. So this all will be part of this Mule. Some point of time, almost all of them will be part of this Mule flow, and this all will be interacting in a flow. So this flow I am going to make is that, so this flow I am dealing very simple thing. So my objective is that I want to generate a Mule application. I want to create a Mule application which will accept a HTTP hit, and in return it will say hello. Okay. So if I am mentioning, so I can send some kind of query parameters to that particular Mule application. So if I mention in that query parameters, I'll specify name. So if I say name is equal to Alfred, it should greet me with hello Alfred. So that is the application which I'm going to make. So first I told you that because it is going to accept HTTP hits, it is going to take HTTP hits. The first thing in a flow, we require a HTTP connector. Right. So here I am just searching for HTTP connector. So I am getting an HTTP connector here. Okay. So you see this, it's not saved. This connector configurations are not saved, and it is saying, it is asking for something. What should be the display name? What should be the creator? What should be the display name for that HTTP connector? What should be the path? Like that. So here I can go for a connector configuration, which nothing means, which I will specify the which I specify to which port this particular connector sends. So if I specify this as 9090, it will start listening to 9090 port, and which are all the associations with the IP. So as host IP, so all interfaces, right? You can mention two ways, either localhost or all interfaces by default. I'm mentioning it as all interfaces. There are furthermore things will be coming into picture, like thread profile settings. Thread profile settings it's advanced concept, like because as you know, I mentioned about a Mule flow. This all Mule applications use three type of pools, thread pools. So these all thread pool settings we can mention, especially for a message source pool. These kind of settings we will mention here. Basically, we will mention what are the active threads, idle threads, what is the thread wait timeout, this all things. So I just mentioned this many things. I changed the port, and here I am mentioning base path. So this path, if I mention, it will prepend to all the path. If I mention, I'm going to mention here again in the. So here, if I mention, say I say I am. Then this will be like, if I mention again, I can mention a path specific to this particular basic settings. So this base path will be prepend to this particular. So we don't require that. So I am going to, so once I create that, once I save that, a global element is coming to picture, right? I'm going to edit this once. Here I'm mentioning what all the HTTP methods it will take. So if I'm sending HTTP GET request, okay, it will take. If I'm instead of that, if I'm spending a post, it will not accept that HTTP request. Out of the HTTP status codes, it will the status code response. In the response, which are all the status code it will set. And these are the additional headers which I can actually set while setting up this particular connector. The reason is that you will get why you are seeing all these headers and everything is that in that presentation I have shown you that there are two type of there is something called as header. So all the HTTP header information will go inside this particular header component, and which are all the information inside the header component. You can see the inbound property and outbound property. So inbound property you cannot set inside your flow. That means that what all properties coming out from the external application will come as inbound property to our mule system. Inbound property in the message headers inside a mule message. If we want to set some property, we can set it as a outbound property, not as an inbound property. Inbound property we cannot touch or we cannot manipulate. Okay, so here I am having a HTTP connector. So it basically accept HTTP request. That's it. And so if you see this, it is not okay. What it actually gives back. I'm not mentioning any of this thing. It is, even though it is mentioning HTTP response, I'm not mentioning. We don't have any provisions to mention what will be the payload given to us. So we actually need a greeting message, right? So that greeting message, in a sense, that is a string payload. Hello something, hello Mr. So and so. That's a greeting message. That is a greeting message, a string message. That is a payload we should receive back. Because we are not providing this kind of particular payload in a GET request. We can't provide this in a GET request because we will send only the URL and the query params. We have to set this. So for that, for setting that payload, we use one message. So a message processor called a set payload. So this set payload, you see this. So what it will do, that part message processor, what it will do, it will set this particular thing, this payload into that particular. Yeah.
Your screen,
Hello?
I think it's kind of frozen when you with the HTTP connector listener configuration. Moving actually.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
What about now?
no, it hanged at a HTTP listener configuration. After that, it was not showing. The screen is not moving. I'm able to listen to you.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Let me. Shall I disconnect and I mean, not, shall I
Yeah,
do
yeah, I can connect back. Or you can connect.
Okay, just connect back. I'll also disconnect and connect back. Okay.
Yeah.
One second.
Yeah.
Hello? Any problem?
Screen got stuck. He's not able to see it got stuck or frozen.
I'll make you revisit 1 second.
Okay.
Ravindra, now?
Yeah. Now I can see the studio screen. Yeah.
Set fail. Is it set failed?
Okay.
you can see, right?
Yeah, now I can see.
Okay, fine. So I told that we have to receive a string message back to us, and that is the payload we will set. That is payload we will set because in the HTTP hit message, when we send a message to this particular new application, what we send a particular URL and the query params, right? And it doesn't set a payload inside the HTTP message. It only sends some header values. Obviously, it will HTTP message. All HTTP message will have headers. That's it. So I used a set payload connector. So this is the not connector. This is a message processor set payload. So to set a greeting message. So here I mentioned the display name of this particular particular processor, hello payload, and you see this. There is two ways. If I mention hello Mr. Alfred, this is perfectly fine because this will always give, once this application start and running, this will always give what message to me. Once I hit this application using a HTTP message, this will give hello Mr. Alfred as a greeting message. But our objective is different. Our objective is what? In my HTTP request, I will mention a query param. That query param it has to pick and it has to give say if in that query param if I mention Raghavendra, it has to say hello Mr. Raghavendra, right? So at that time also this particular setting will give hello Mr. Alfred. So what we are going to do is that here comes something called as mule expression language. I'll explain in further sessions. So here what I'm going to do that I'm going to retrieve that particular query param information. Okay, so here you can see that in this particular connector, in this particular message processor, this is the value I set. I used a mule expression language to retrieve the query parameter information from my from the HTTP request which I received. And so this is the visualization of this application. Coming to the actual configuration, this is the configuration which is this application contains. So you see this. There is something called as HTTP listener configuration, right? This is outside of this flow tag. Why? Because the HTTP listener, there are some kind of connectors which will act as a global connectors. The purpose is that these global connectors can be reused multiple times. If we have a HTTP connector, say it listens to this particular port and this particular IP, okay, that is in any other application which is coming into this particular in any other flow which make use of this which it wants to make use of HTTP connector and the same port with a different URL, with a different path, URL path, it can make use of this particular connector. So this connector, HTTP connector, will act as a global connector. So inside the flow tag, you can see I'm using that particular HTTP connector to set my path. Say the path which I'm using is hello. You can use this, and the reference goes to HTTP listeners configuration, which is nothing but this only. So here I am setting the path and allowed HTTP methods. Hold on, I will just expand this. Allowed methods, and coming down, I am setting using a payload connector, payload message processor I am using, which I am setting a value as a payload. This is the mule expression language which I used, and this is the name of that particular message processor. Right? So next, what we can do is that let's start this. and let's see how it is performed. See, we got a message, mule is up and kicking. So this is very important. So whenever you start a mule server inside from your Anypoint Studio, you have to look for this particular message to see whether it is started properly or not. So this has been started. The mule application has been deployed. This particular application will be deployed in its internal mule EE server. Now, how we hit this? We want to test this application, right? So for that, what we are going to do, we use one client, use a Postman. Postman is nothing but it's a HTTP client. You can basically it's a RESTful client. You can send any kind of HTTP request through this Postman. So I'm opening. This is a Chrome extension. So I'm using it as a Chrome extension. Okay. So so here comes my minute. So 1 minute. So what is the path I mentioned here? Hello, right? And what is the port to which it listens? It listens to 9090, right? So I'm sending this particular HTTP request. So I got a response. So this comes, here comes, this come. If I change this, so you are Raghavendra, right?
Ravindra.
Sorry, I'm not sure about your spelling.
Okay, that's it.
So I got Mr. Ravi.
Yeah.
So if I send, say, Ram, the response I got. So this is, see, in the response, you have to see this thing. We got a status code, HTTP status code 200, which obviously it will give by default if everything goes fine. In the headers, what all things, nothing else, nothing but this headers, this all message, this particular body is coming as a response from the mule application, right? So this is how a basic, very basic mule application is very basic things. It's like a hello world application. It's which will work. So any questions from your end?
Yeah, one question is like most of the people they're asking for a lot of Java also along with the Mule. So why is it like because it's all flow based, right? Already connectors are already there, and why they are asking Java experience as well for this?
The reason is that most of the time, see, most of the time, I felt like even I was a Java developer. Almost 2.5 years, I was handling Java as well. Okay, so I found out this that because most of the systems you interact with, when it comes to, there is two reasons which I feel. One is that we in the Mule, you see there's one thing called message process called as Java. So this is a Java transformer. This is a message processor which actually interact with a actually delegates a Java class. Basically, it deals with a Java class. So this actually interacts with a Java class. It can, and in that Java class, you will write actual Java code to manipulate. something. Okay, so this you can do. This is one reason, but most of the times I don't think like Java connector will be used. The main reason which I feel is that because the main system requires, because the Mule ESP built on Java environment, because it's made on it's like any point studio is made upon Java. It's Eclipse. It's a Eclipse based IDE only. And the other thing is that Mule, when it comes to a very high level expertise, when it comes increase, it will be very helpful for you if you know the Java, because down the line Mule is using make use of Spring framework, right? So that's the reason I feel like, okay, most of the guys were using asking for Java along with the Mule. And there is one more thing I feel like, integrations like implementation of web services using Java or implementation of SOAP as well. I feel like a lot of systems will be made, all this web service implementation will be done using Java. So that will be beneficial if you know Java along with Mule.
Okay. Okay, and this Mule server, that is a single server, right, for all the applications, or it generates a server for every project?
No, it is that is maybe you are asking from this application engine WebLogic perspective.
Yeah.
It is only a single server. It doesn't create any particular servlets for each application. Simply a single server.
Okay.
So this you will experience in WebSphere, WebLogic, in fully developed this application, Java application servers, where each you will define a server and then you deploy this application builds on those servers. Right? Yeah. So actually WebSphere, your WebSphere instance will act as a meta server, not as a server, actual server, right? So that's not the case. Mule server, it is actually act as a server itself. You can consider, you can consider Mule server as Apache Tomcat. So Apache Tomcat act as a proper server. It doesn't define it doesn't act as a meta server. It doesn't define servlets. So you can analogous to that.
Yeah. So it's a single server only where all the applications will be deployed, right? That's what.
Yeah, correct. So there will be a lot of deployment strategies, deployment architectures involved, like to ensure high availability. What should be the server? How many Mule servers and how many? So these are all things are in a very server administration level will come into picture. So as I mentioned, this will be so we mainly focus on the development of Mule applications, which almost all the interviews, everyone will ask about this development, how much experience you got in developing Mule applications and in deploying it. So we mainly focus on these two areas in our sessions.
So it's a 5-week course, 5-week or 4-week?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 5-week. Okay, so I'll be covering almost all, and I'll be sometimes see I will not exactly follow this particular this order. So for example, I am saying is that whenever I explain, so if you see this particular thing, first week content, there is a Mule file endpoint, Mule flow. Actually, it's better to explain the concept, very base concept, which includes a flow, subflow, Mule expression language, and everything. So a file endpoint, DB endpoint, these are all the connectors. So I will put the connectors together because what all things I explain, I will show you in a Anypoint Studio. Okay, so you can ask if I'm missing anything. What all things I explain, I will show in Anypoint Studio. So for the for the convenience of showing a particular set of items together, I'll regroup it.
Okay. So one thing like, is it possible to do you have example like you define API in Anypoint platform in API manager, and you import that API into the studio and then deploy. Do you have any kind of?
I have, but that's like organization level I made. So I don't think I can access it because
Okay.
that requires my organizational credentials. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think I will be able to use it. I have
Oh.
actually.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, this one is also. I mean, but once they import that API, further all this one only, right? They do in the development, all the flows and.
Yeah, I mean, I can show you that in a like very, see, I can do one thing. So recently I found out that we can actually have a trial account in their platform, in their Anypoint Manager platform. We can have a trial account for say for 30 days something. So once you get that, you can actually put your API over there and everything, and you can actually import it as well. So maybe I can try in that way, like creating a trial account and creating some APIs over there and importing it and make use of it. But with my existing ones, it comes in that organization level. So I have to use that different set of credentials for that. I don't think I will be able to use it for time being. But I can create a trial account or do something. If you want to know that how to do that, I can do that as
It's better if we have the technology because here more than ESB, people are implementing as a API tool mostly in many projects. So that's the reason
well.
actually they want to use Mule as a API gateway mostly
Mm-hmm.
because lots of ESB functional they already implementation is in place. Now they wanted all the API
Okay.
connectors and also that's the reason I'm asking. Yeah, yeah. If you
Okay.
can
Okay.
get some trial version and show me the two examples, that would be fine. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's all from my end. I hope
uh,
you don't have
yeah.
any
That's all
further.
from my end too. Yeah, I'll talk to Shiva and then yeah, we can proceed.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks
Yeah,
for your time. Bye,
yeah.
Ravindra.
Thank you.